Brews and Banter.
Hi, Frank.
Hey, Roma, how are you?
I'm great and really excited for today's guest. Jessica, go ahead and introduce yourself and we'll kind of get rolling from there.
Oh, that might take a long time, but I'm Jessica Cox. I'm the world's first airplane pilot to fly with her feet. I'm certified to do that by the FAA, and I've done other things like become the world's first black belt in the American Taekwondo Association without arms, and done surfing, scuba diving, skydiving, and the list goes on. And but first and foremost, this is my livelihood, speaking to audiences to inspire them and to motivate them that anything is possible.
Excellent.
You just blew my mind.
I didn't know all that other stuff.
I only knew about the flying part of it, which I was mesmerized when I first saw it and jealous. And now you just threw in like all these other things. I was like, what?
Yeah.
That's
like we thought we had this cake and this awesome meal, and then you just add like a bunch of appetizers. Like
that's let's start with piloting first, and then like why did you decide to do that? Like why did you decide to become a pilot?
If you would have asked me, before I even started the whole journey, I would have been like, no way, I'm not going to fly planes. There's no one in my family who flies planes. I'd never been in a small plane, and it was actually quite terrifying for me. But I thought, well, why not? Because this is a fear. It's always been a fear. And also my dad was standing next to me when I was right out of college when a fighter pilot asked if I wanted to fly. And he kind of jumped in for me and said she would love to. Mm-hmm. So that was the start of something that has turned into this amazing platform as the world's first airplane pilot without arms and to fly with her feet.
That's fantastic.
Where
do you start? Like, there's so much to do here. Yeah.
Yeah. Well, how much time do you have? What is the model of your plane?
So the plane that I've been flying is called an Ercoupe. It's a 1946 415C 2-seater Ercoupe. So if you look at it, I'll describe it. You could Google it. It's low wing, a little bubble canopy, a single engine, 85 horsepower, very tiny little thing that flies around. And that's sport pilot certified, basically a plane you could fly as a sport pilot. And that essentially means you don't have to get a medical. This is not like, commercial level or anything like that. Anyone who has a valid driver's license can use that as their medical towards a sport pilot certificate to fly sport planes.
The little one-seater, right?
No, it's actually two.
Oh,
two-seaters. Yeah, a bench seat.
Yeah. I know there's difference, like experimental planes don't require specific, like certified inspections, right?
Mm-hmm.
So is that considered experimental plane or no?
This is not. This is a certified plane, but what we are building is going to be an experimental plane.
Okay. And I saw on your Instagram that there's special color coding you guys putting together for the plane. And are you going to be revealing that soon?
Tomorrow is the anniversary of flight. So that is December 17th. Is the day that the Wright brothers succeeded at flying plane. Okay. And it's the anniversary of flight, and therefore we wanted to release it. I know this is going to air at whatever date it does, but it will always be available on social media, on the Facebook channel, and our other social media outlets. And it will be the revealing of the paint scheme of the Impossible airplane, which is an airplane we are building and will be finished in May.
Who's building, like what company is building the plane?
So it's not a company. There are these groups of pilots, and it's basically what this association called the Experimental Airplane Association. And it's EAA for short. And they have these chapters around the country. And one of those chapters in Toms River, New Jersey at Ocean County Airport is actually volunteering. They did 4.5 years ago now. And they volunteered to put this plane together from a kit. So it's essentially a kit that comes in a big crate, just like a lot of kit things. you put it together with many different pieces, thousands of pieces, and then you eventually get an engine, which we just got like a couple weeks ago. You put the engine in, you do everything like propeller and everything, like building anything that's a model.
Mhm.
And we are building that out with this amazing group of people from EAA Chapter 898 through Bob Newman, who are out of Tom's River, New Jersey. And they're putting that together and have been, and will be finished in May.
Nice.
That's awesome.
Are there inspections between stages? Like does someone from FAA has to inspect it as you put these kits together?
There will be an inspection in the end, and we have to have all the documentation and such. So there are inspections involved. And of course, safety tests and all sorts of things. You have to do the first couple hours of flying to ensure it's a safe plane. There's a lot of, there's a process.
Mhm. And it's being modified, right? To be flown with feet.
Yeah. So for the record, I've been flying a non-modified plane all these years since 2008 as a certified pilot. And that was the 1946 Ercoupe airplane that does not have any modifications. So I just fly with my feet where people would normally have their hands to fly it. But this plane that we're building will have customized controls. So
Mhm.
everything will be on the floor, essentially comfortable for foot flight.
Perfect.
That's awesome. So do you have to give them like measurements, like, your height and how they can adjust things? Or do you have to go there and sit in the cockpit and tell them like where you want the adjustments to be?
Uh-huh.
So usually it's the standard seats, the pilot and command seat, which is the left seat. And unlike cars, in airplanes, you can fly also from the right seat. So you also have the same controls in front of you in the right seat. And then there's 2 seats in back. So I will have likely a customized cushion because I'm fairly short. I'm only 5'1", and I would need to be able to obviously see and fit comfortably in that pilot command left seat. But what we'll do is customize everything for the left seat so that it's to my measurements, to my comfort, and everything just wonderfully fit for me to my liking. And then anyone who is just any pilot who wants to fly with their hands can sit in the right seat and fly with the standard controls.
Sure.
That's
Sure.
good because that's also good backup. Like say something happens, like, and you're flying with someone who knows how to fly as well, can take over.
Mm-hmm.
Exactly. Yeah, it's good because most pilots can fly from either seat, left or right. But if I'm going like across country and get tired and say, hey, the controls, pass over the control to the person sitting right seat, that
Mhm.
will make it more doable to fly further.
That's true. Yeah. So you've flown long distances?
I, as a sport pilot, don't. It's not required of me to fly too far, but I did have to do what was qualified as a solo cross country flight, which it sounds like it's across the country, but it's actually
Yeah.
just a certain distance. And it was maybe 2-hour flight for me, one way, 2 hours back.
No.
And it was not very far at all, but that was considered a solo cross country
You have
flight.
to do that day and night, correct?
No. So as a private pilot, which is the next level up, that's a certification above sport pilot, you do need to do night flying
Okay.
and daylight hours as well, obviously.
Okay. Yeah, I've been reading up and trying to save up so I can get licensed.
Sounds like
You
you're
You get the sport pilot. You don't have to, right? Because you have a driver's license.
Well, no. I would like to be able to like rent a plane and fly somewhere, like a trip with the family, for example.
So if Roman were, because he wants to fly, if you were to get your plane built, in May, is Roman able to sit in the right seat with a driver's license?
and he would still have to go through training
Mhm.
to be able to fly, and then obviously in order to get his certificate, he'd have to pass what's called a check ride. And there's all these requirements and eligibilities that you have to, just like
Yeah.
driving a car, you have to go and take a test, make sure that you're, doing all the procedures, know how to land, do all the written knowledge and, everything like that. You have to still be held to a standard with all these requirements.
Sure.
Yeah, you still need to. The driver license part was the medical testing.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
Mm-hmm.
Well, yeah, I understand there's some certification. I just didn't know how involved it was for
Yeah.
someone that's, I guess, not primarily considered the pilot in charge, I suppose.
Jessica, can we go back a little bit and tell us what your experience has been going through getting your pilot's license?
Well, it was something that we weren't sure how it was going to be handled because, naturally someone's going to freak out if you see someone without arms
Mm-hmm.
wanting to fly a plane. But if the wonderful thing about the aviation community and pilots is they're willing to listen. And if you want to fly, if you want to get your wings, they're behind you. So people were willing to give me the benefit of the doubt, see what she could do, and they essentially kind of went from that angle, and they didn't say no from the beginning. In fact, I didn't come across anyone who just said no to my face.
Mm-hmm.
They may have thought something in the back of their mind of, how is she going to do this? And a lot of doubt and questions. But people gave me the chance to show what I can do with my toes and feet, which is hard for people to even conceptualize because most people have hands. But if you have nothing but your feet, your toes are going to become your fingers and your feet are become your hands. And that's exactly how I lived my whole life. So I don't know any different. When I sit in a car and I drive, or if I drive anyone with someone with a driver's license, I just drive with my right foot on the wheel and my left foot alternating between the accelerator and brake, which is a little different than most people because they usually use their right foot alternating between the accelerator and brake. But for me, it's crisscross because my right foot is my dominant foot and I need to have that on the wheel. And just like if someone's right-handed, I'm right-footed. So I put my right foot on the wheel and then my left foot alternates. And that whole idea is foreign to anyone, especially, and then flying a plane like that had never been done. So I will say there was a lot of questions of how, but it was just about figuring out a way.
Right.
Yeah, so it's interesting because and we haven't talked about this beforehand, but I know, me and Roman know each other very well. The experience to be able to, do this with someone who doesn't have arms, right? I think we would both welcome, the opportunity to be able to participate in anything you're doing because human nature for the right people is accepting the challenge. And I think about I think his name's Rick Allen, from the drummer from Def Leppard, with one arm.
Uh-huh.
So he plays with his feet. I mean, he's still got one arm, but he plays with his feet. Like there's a adaptability there. So you're going to make it work with the right mindset. And obviously you've done that. And I think it was probably even before we started recording all those different aspects you've done that in, as far as, martial arts or this, or even, driving a car. So it's interesting, again, and you know that from us, but it's interesting for us to be able to, talk to you about this.
Yeah, I've been conditioned since an early age. And, that whole creativity side of things, figuring it out, we were like that as kids. For me, it just kind of stayed with me because everything in my life was kind of built against how I functioned. So I just had to creatively come up with a solution to use my feet to solve the challenge.
Mm-hmm.
And Jessica, were you born with no arms?
And that's the other advantage is I was born this way.
Okay,
I didn't
so
lose my arms from an accident.
wired-
Yes.
Yeah. Okay.
Exactly. From birth. Since day one,
Yeah.
my brain just made those connections and just, had to take some more time probably in development than the average kid to figure certain things out. But once I did, it also helped strengthen that creativity.
Well, statistically, female kids develop faster than male.
Well, all females develop faster biology. Really, it doesn't matter if you're a kid or not. Like,
Yes.
I mean, you're more developed than a 75-year-old male anyway. Like, men are stupid.
So when you were training to become a pilot, was there only one specific instructor that wanted to work with you instead of rotating, or were they all comfortable and were able to feel confident as well with your ability?
Well, I will say this goes for anyone who wants to train. Since Roman, it sounds like you're going to be out there one day training. You go to a flight school, you sign up at a flight school, however you find that school, if you just Google it, or if a friend says, hey, check this school out, or you go and you want to just feel it out, they'll give you probably your first discovery flight. And that discovery flight kind of determines whether you want to pursue that any further. And then you, of course, have to, save up a lot because training is not exactly cheap.
Right.
For me, it was never about like finding the right instructor because everyone was excited for me. For me, it was finding the right airplane with the right instructor, because most airplanes require being flown with all 4 limbs, hands on the yoke and throttle, other 2 feet on your rudder pedals. So most all airplanes require all 4 limbs to fly it. But I had to find the right aircraft, which was this Ercoupe I'm sharing with you about, which is from 1946, a vintage plane. But because of its unique design, you can fly it with 2 limbs. And whether that's your 2 hands or your 2 feet, many paraplegics, people who've lost legs from polio, from disease or amputations or polio, they're not able to use their leg, have benefited from the design of this plane, because as long as you have 2 limbs on the control, you can safely maneuver it.
Now, was that plane purposely built for those circumstances?
No.
Or is it just
No.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, I know. It sounds really unique, and I don't know why the design didn't kind of continue on with other airplanes, but this was the only airplane, because I think a lot of pilots like the versatility of having more access of control, because the Ercoupe I fly, essentially everything's kind of tied together. So, but I think some pilots like to isolate those different controls, perhaps. So this is a plane that was just happened to be so convenient. It was in its time when it was first developed, it was called the safest airplane. It is a spin-proof, stall-proof airplane. It still is spin and stall-proof. So that makes it a very safe and easy plane to fly.
There's another plane. I'm trying to remember the name of it, but they call it minivan of the sky, and it's the one that has a parachute built into it.
Oh my gosh, I love that plane. Yeah, that's an expensive one.
Yeah, they call it a minivan of the sky because it's perfect for the family. I think it can sit like 6 or 8 people plus luggage.
So was the parachutes on the
And
plane?
the parachute's on top of the plane, and it can deploy in case of an emergency.
So you would fall flat,
You
instead
still-
of nosedive?
You would still crash.
Yeah.
And the plane
Or
probably
you're gonna belly crash instead of nose crash?
maybe, yeah. I mean, it depends on circumstances with like wind and where you are and the ground.
Yeah.
But yeah, I saw that, and yeah, it is expensive.
Mhm.
The parachute adds weight, so some people like it and some don't. Like enthusiasts or pilots, and I've been reading up about it. Not that I can afford a plane; I can't even afford lessons to get a license. But yeah, just thinking of a plane like that, and I think that plane also has autopilot, if I'm correct.
Yeah,
Are
it
you
does.
able to fly a plane of that complexity with autopilot, where maybe take your control to land?
So the plane that we're building, the RV-10, has autopilot on it, which is
Oh,
amazing
nice.
because essentially, I'll take off and I can just activate autopilot, and it gives me a break. I don't even know. I can only guess what it feels like because I've never flown a plane with autopilot. This will be the first. I've been having to fly an Ercoupe, which that wasn't of the 40s, that was
Mhm.
not something that they had as an option. So I think it would be really neat to make it even more enjoyable to be able to activate autopilot so you can just kind of relax a little bit.
Give it a rest.
Mm-hmm.
That constant tension is now you can fly a longer distance without a fatigue, right?
Exactly.
So
Mhm.
we talk about the expense of the plane you just mentioned, and we spoke a little bit about this beforehand, but I know there's some fundraising initiatives you're trying to raise to help complete this plane, the RV-10 that you're talking about. So how can people contribute to that?
So we are really on this amazing journey to finish off this plane. It's been 4.5 years since we first received the kit with all these thousands of pieces and this amazing team in Toms River, New Jersey. with Bob Newman. They started to put it together, and we're on the home stretch. It should be finished in May, but we have all these little side expenses to get it to that point. And we have a website. It's called The Impossible Airplane. And right now, until the end of the year, we have someone who's offered to match every dollar that is donated. So that's theimpossibleairplane.com/match. And there, people can help support this build because it's going to mean so much to the world to pave the way for all those, and to break through shatter those stigmas about, who can fly a plane. Because if I can fly a plane, then anyone can fly a plane. And it'll also change that belief that someone with a disability can do, they change the belief that disability means you can't do something. Mm-hmm. And we're really bringing this message that disability does not mean inability. And people are capable of doing great things if you have the belief in them and you give them the opportunity. And like we talked about earlier, the creativity and really breaking through by flying children with disabilities with their parents, by giving this experience and the transformation through aviation.
And it's such a motivation too, like to witness, someone who doesn't have arms and able to achieve something like that. And it motivates a person like, man, I want to do it too. Like,
yeah,
if that person can do it, why am I? Sometimes people, their own worst enemy, it's like we automatically tend to shut ourselves down. Like, what are you talking about? You can't do this, But I think it helps to hear stories or talk to people that have accomplished things like that and can really motivate you to take that leap. And it certainly motivate me. Just even seeing your Instagram story, it was like, absolutely, get out of here. I keep telling so many people, like, you have to listen to this episode. We have this amazing guest coming on, and there's just so much more to talk about than just what we see on your Instagram. You've done motivation, speaking at events, correct?
I have for now 19 years.
Wow. And I saw that you working on so you had the book and you're working on audio, correct?
So I have a book and I've had it for over now a decade. It's available on Amazon and it's called Disarm Your Limits. Mm-hmm. That book is now available through Audible as an audiobook because a lot of people like audiobooks now. If you're working out, you're hiking or driving, it's nice to have that. So we just finished the audiobook version of this book just this year and it's available on Audible.
Nice. Go check it out. Buy the book. I'm gonna buy it. I'm looking forward to see what your story and what is that book about? Just about your journey or something specific?
It's about my journey, but also it's a self-help book. Okay. It's a flight formula to lift you to success and propel you to the next horizon. And that's very much a self-help approach book where there's different principles in each chapter that helps people to reflect on their own lives and how they could use a little more persistence or they could use a little more courage or authenticity. And those are the different chapters of each of this book. It's a great read. It's encouraging for even, high school students as well. So if you want to gift this to someone during the holiday season, it's a great stocking stuffer.
Yeah, for sure.
Did I see something with the Guinness Book of World Records for you?
Yeah, that's correct. I didn't know it was true, but I went in to become a pilot. And, of course, this is my normal living life without arms. But in turn, once I became a pilot, it then set me up for this wonderful title of earning the Guinness World Record for being the first pilot to fly with her feet, first airplane pilot to fly with just her feet. And it was something that was legit. I have a certificate right here in the room somewhere. Uh-huh. And I received a medal and it was all official. So yeah, that's correct.
Did you also say you have a drink in that room with you?
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I do. Yep, I do. So I have to use my feet here. I'm going to have to, here we go. This is empty. I'm getting ready to pour some more in it, but Anyway, maybe you should save that for you guys to see here on the camera because I do have a nice little setup here. But for me, in fact, I'll go ahead and show you this here. I'll put it on to basically there's a camera here, my second camera, so that I can show you this example.
Yeah, not
to
as
see
only
if it
is
comes.
great camera, like the view, it's even set up like perfectly,
Yeah, this is all set up for my presentations. Basically, this is an unopened bottle. I'm going to pour myself something here.
Is that pomegranate?
It is. Yes, I
Oh,
love it. I love the flavor.
I eat pomegranate like fresh.
I don't eat it. I like to drink it, but I don't eat it.
Yeah.
Is that
You know
Is that an ice drink? That was called?
Yeah, that's it. It's actually black cherry. I'm looking at it. I thought it was the pomegranate flavor, but it's actually, it says here black cherry.
I love those
It's
drinks. Nice.
sparkling ice.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Ooh, look at the sound even.
I'm glad it's coming through. So yeah, this is my life using my toes. I'm going to go ahead and bring this camera back up to face camera. But this is where I do all my work here in the studio, in my home studio.
Oh,
so that
everything. Huh? Roman's all techie and like I noticed it. I'm like, that's kind. And Roman's like, oh, what this, like look at that, and like he'll name like the process and everything.
Transition.
Yeah. Yeah, but again,
cheers.
Yes.
Cheers.
Well, cheers.
Thank you. But yeah, so we'll make sure we mention everybody this website and see if we can help you along the finish line.
Absolutely. You've mentioned some fears along the way. How do you deal with that? Like, how do you talk yourself through fear?
Fear is something. I mean, sometimes I even get apprehensive a little when I'm getting ready to fly, just because, we all have fear, whatever that is, related to something maybe in our childhood or something. And for me, it's losing contact with the ground. So I really have to pump myself up before flying because, first of all, when you're a pilot, you don't take any chances because you don't sometimes you're up there, something happens. You just got to go into this mode of where I'm going to land the plane, because engine failure is going to happen at some point, they say, in the first 500 hours of flying. So you kind of go through these procedures for any kind of emergency. You're prepared for it. And just like anything, if you're prepared for it, then you will be calm, relaxed. And if something were to happen, you just find a place to land the plane. Or if you have enough altitude to come back to the runway and land safely, you declare it on the radio and they'll clear the path for you and you come in and you land. So I have to essentially know that as a pilot, we don't rely on our own memory. We use a series of checklists. Mm-hmm. And obviously you don't treat it lightly. For me, I definitely don't drive a car the same way that I fly a plane. And you're up there in the sky and there's a lot of accountability. Flying a plane, there's no doubt about it.
I just saw a video online where a small private plane landed on a highway on top of the car. It was.
I saw that too.
You saw that, and they all survived.
I know.
It's amazing.
That he was coming into land, like something must have happened, some mechanical failure or something. And I was surprised that the driver of the car also came out without a scratch.
Because
that was good to see.
If you look at the indentation from where the plane first hit, it's actually mostly on the front left side of the car.
So did the pilot purposely try to land on the car, or was the car? Because
no, they were just using the highway. It just happened to be the car. The car might have also softened landing.
I understand. Like, you wouldn't want to. Land on something that you weren't approved to land on. I just didn't know if there's some sort of like pre-arrangement somehow. Like, I don't know.
No, I mean, I'm sure. I don't remember all the first steps. I mean, first step, right? You call Mayday, or assess your situation, call Mayday, and get in contact with someone, and start talking to nearest tower that can guide you, right?
Mm-hmm. There's a whole checklist.
Yeah,
just like everything. There's a checklist for failure, mechanical issues, fire in the cockpit, anything. Mm-hmm. We have checklists for them all. And if you can't memorize them all, obviously you're not supposed to memorize them. You just have it there. Bring it on your, bring out the checklist and go through the procedures.
Didn't we talk how these highways are designed around military bases
Well, highways originally were used for military.
for like a landing.
I think it was both for moving military equipment and landing. That's
Okay.
why some highways will have stretches of
Mhm.
straightaways.
Mhm.
But it was originally constructed for military use, and then it became public
I see.
for public use.
Yep. Sidebar. Sorry.
But that's okay. But I think in training, and I don't know, maybe different licenses is different. But the one I was looking at, there is a time where you have to actually kill the engine,
Mhm.
and in mid-flight, right, and then kind of restart it. I don't remember
Yes.
the name of that. I don't know if that's part of the training of like in case of a failure, or is that just something you need to learn if it stalls out how to get it back on
Well,
mid-flight?
both. You have to go through both. You have to go through a stall, a simulated stall,
Mhm.
and how to recover from that. And then you obviously would simulate an engine out and how to recover from that. And sometimes, people will try to restart the engine if there's something that happens, and they can just try and restart it and see if that gets things going again. But there's all sorts of procedures. You're gonna be in for a great training experience, but I will say after flight lesson, you get so exhausted because it just takes everything out of you to learn, everything from landing and all this knowledge you have to know about aerodynamics. It's just
Mhm.
very overwhelming
Mm.
and it's exhausting to take flight lessons.
I want to mention a couple more things that I watched regarding that. One of the best, calmest emergency landings I've seen was a helicopter pilot, and he had a passenger, and they had a failure. I don't know if
Mm-hmm.
you've seen that one where he found a little bed of gravel along the river, and he's like, "Okay, we have a problem. Mayday, mayday." He was just calm the entire time.
Well, like that Sully guy too, right in the Hudson Valley.
Well,
Hmm.
I don't have the recording of a cockpit. I don't know what was going on there.
Oh,
But
yeah.
watching
Yeah,
this
so-
person
yeah.
on a helicopter to go through kind of that checklist, Jessica, like you said, and he just step by step called things out, was explaining to the passenger what he's doing as the problem was occurring, and they safely landed the helicopter. And then he was like, "Holy cow, what just happened?"
Yeah, that adrenaline.
Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah. And then the second one is a young girl was going through her training, and her front wheel fell off on the plane as she took off, and the tower or neighboring plane saw it, and then the tower contacted her and said, "Your front wheel fell off. Who is your trainer?" And so they got someone in the tower who was her trainer, I believe, and she was freaking out but controlling herself, and they said, "Don't worry, we will guide you through it. You'll land." Look that video up when you get a chance, Jessica. It's incredible.
Yeah.
Here's a young student, hasn't gotten her license yet, and she has to deal with no front tire, no front wheels.
Automatic license after that.
They guided her through. She landed. It was a bit of a crash there, obviously, but she was fine. She survived. She ended up finishing her training, and she didn't let that scare her to not pursue her license. And it
That's
was just
awesome.
so inspiring to listen to that communication between her and the instructor that was guiding her step by step. I just don't know how many people have that in them at that early stage with minimal experience to compose themselves that way, and think of how serious it is.
So
Mhm.
so there's obviously many challenges that you've overcome, things that you've accomplished. Where is the line for Jessica? Like what will you not do? Like for me, I'm never eating onion, right? That's pales in comparison to you. And like Roman is like skin on chicken or something like. Well, where is the line? What do you think you just would not want to do?
Oh, I really am trying to think about it. I don't know where the line is. I like taking on opportunities. Um, hmm.
And I'm not trying to put you
I
on
had
the
to think
spot. I
about
just
that.
didn't know if there was something like prominent in your mind, like I'm not doing that, because it
Huh?
seems
I
like
don't
you're
know
probably.
about bungee jumping
Hmm?
because it seems a little like I've done skydiving before, but bungee jumping seems like it's a little shocking to the body. That like instant you kind of you get to the end of the line, it kind of jolts you. I think that would cause some serious whiplash.
Mhm.
So maybe that I don't know.
And people, I think, you always see people kind of put their arms out, flailing. Isn't it part of probably a balance thing, right? Maybe,
Perhaps,
yeah.
yeah. That's a natural tendency to put your
Mm.
arms
Yep.
out. I mean, like if, for example, when I jump into the pool, like I I have jumped in head first. Most people
Mhm.
need their hands to break the water, so you're not smacking your head into the surface of the pool. The water and on the surface. So, but you just figure out ways. The body figures out ways to overcome that. It's a little scary at first, but you do
Sure.
it.
Sure.
How was skydiving? Did you do tandem, or are you certified to do it on your own?
Oh, I'm not certified to do it on my own. It was just something there was a lot of question because the biggest concern was the rigged up system for skydiving. The first jump, you always do that tandem with someone. You don't do it
Mhm.
solo. But I was like, is this set up for someone without arms so I don't fall out of it? Because all these straps and things that hold you tandem to that person behind you when
Yeah.
you're jumping. There was that concern, but I jumped with a guy who had all of these. He was a competition skydiver, so there was no concern there at all. But he told me right when we got out of we climb up in altitude, thousands of feet up, and right before jumping out, he says, "Do you want to take your shoes off?" I was like, "Take my shoes off? I'm going to risk breaking my feet, the only things I have to live my life." Um, and he basically said that so confidently, and I trusted because knowing that he was a competition skydiver, that he knew what he was doing. And I took my shoes off so that my feet could feel the air like others would with their hands.
Mhm.
And I was barefoot skydiving on my first jump. And I was, in the back of my mind thinking, this better be a safe landing. And sure enough, we came in, we landed, and he literally landed like a butterfly. And it was just so nice. I didn't even touch the ground. My feet were up. And then, of course, when it came time for me to walk, I did touch the ground. But it was a lot of trust in that.
Mhm.
But it was a good experience to feel what it's like being barefoot in skydiving.
Sure.
And that's amazing. The way some of those skydivers come in, you feel like he's about to slam the ground, and then there's this break,
Yeah.
and the body just
Mhm.
glides up and gently.
It's sort of like a this and then almost like a horizontal.
Yeah,
Yeah.
that's a fun experience. I can't imagine.
Yeah.
So when you got into martial arts, how did you decide? Did you say it was a taekwondo?
Mhm.
How did you decide to do taekwondo versus other arts?
Well, martial arts has a lot of hand movement, as you all know from watching, or hearing about it. Taekwondo is the one martial art that uses a lot of kicks.
Mhm.
So it seemed appropriate that that would be the martial art to try. And it was available when I was a kid in the town I lived in growing up. So I had this great instructor again. I was just so fortunate and blessed to have these great people come in my life that were instructors that are, his one requirement when I started when I was a kid was he told my mom, he said, well, as long as she has a good attitude, I can keep her as a student.
Mhm.
We'll figure everything else out.
Mhm.
And we did. And I got my
Nice.
first black belt as a 14-year-old kid. And then I went back into Taekwondo in college, and I became the first black belt in the American Taekwondo Association to do so without arms. So I had it in the International Taekwondo Federation and then the American Taekwondo Association. And it was really a good experience for me to build confidence and fitness, of course, and flexibility.
Absolutely.
Did you do competitions?
I did. And at the time, they weren't sure how to classify me. So I just essentially went into regular competitions like anyone else would. You go in with your ranking and your age.
Mm-hmm.
And at the time, I think I was a 3rd-degree black belt in Taekwondo with women in their 30s. And I went in and just competed in my own ring. And they just, competed with me at times where I was sometimes I did bad, sometimes I did good. And I had to keep at it. And I earned state champ in 2014 for my rank and my division there and in the ETA martial arts. So it was a great experience.
That's amazing.
Yep.
I have a niece, 2 nieces who are in Taekwondo and competed. I don't know if they're still doing it, but they were competing like worldwide. They traveled to Brazil and actually one of their instructors said if you continue, you could get to Olympics. I don't know if they pursued. I think they stopped. But we would play this game. She would send me a video, stuff she's doing with her feet. And then I would record something. my son had fun with this too. He was recording. And I would do stuff with my feet. So she made peanut butter jelly sandwich from scratch using her feet.
Oh.
So I'm like, man, how am I going to top that? So I did this whole sequence of feeding my dogs, getting the milk out of the fridge with my feet, closing the doggy gate, tucking my son in bed to sleep, and closing all the doors. It's hard. And, because Taekwondo, like you said, is so much you do with your legs, she has this amazing flexibility of reaching like wall cabinets in the kitchen. She would get stuff out of there with her feet. It's hard. And I can't imagine you doing that kind of sport. I would imagine you've injured yourself, right?
Oh, you mean just every day, or just like
not just while you were practicing Taekwondo, but
pulling a muscle or
you
the wrong
way. Yeah.
Right.
It's harder on me because crutches are not an option. I'm essentially in a wheelchair if I injure my feet or legs in any way, and I have. I even injured it in a pretty bad fall this year where I had to stay off my leg. But at one point, it was a pretty bad experience where, how most people, when you're on a road trip, most people keep their feet down, but there are occasionally people who put their feet up on the dash to just like recline back or relax. Yeah. Well, they say never to do that. And I know exactly why, because the airbags deploy right there where you're resting your feet. And my dad lost control of the car one day. And I was sitting in the passenger front seat, and we went straight into a pole. We could have walked out of that car without a scratch, but the airbag deployed, and it goes off at like 265 miles per hour. Those bags, they're really fast, and they have all that dust. And I didn't even see the bag deploy, but my feet were up there, and the airbag deployed on my feet. My left foot hit the windshield, my right knee hyperextended. And all I remember is I could just see my feet back on the floor again. And I was like, wait, my feet were not there. And then the airbags deployed in front of me. And it didn't even cut my skin or anything. There was no blood, but I had sprained my ankle so severely on my left foot and my knee hyperextended that even now, 13, 14 years later, the arthritis in those joints where that happened, I feel it sometimes on cold mornings.
Yeah.
And I'll wake up and I'll be like, wow, my ankle will actually it'll hurt because the arthritis is set in after years and years from that injury.
I feel like when kids go for their driver's license and they watch those videos of, I remember I watched what happens when you're texting and driving, or not texting. Back then they didn't have cell phones like that.
You were payphone.
Yeah. Right? Distracted driving, or what happens when you hit a deer. I feel like they need to include what happens when you have your feet up there with an airbag deploying. Because they need to see, there are videos on YouTube, obviously, but they need to include that in class because that is dangerous. And sometimes we're traveling on the highway at high speeds, and I see these kids just have their feet up on the dash. I'm like, oh man, there was a way to tell them, put your feet down. It's not safe. Recline back, stretch your legs out. If no one's behind you, pull the seat all the way back, stretch your legs out that way.
Mm-hmm.
But I can't imagine how difficult it is for you when that is your source of functioning. You know,
Mm-hmm.
do you
Yeah.
get help when something like that happens?
Oh, I was in a wheelchair for a month.
Mhm.
And because I only had essentially my left foot was so severely sprained, I had to keep that mobilized. And then the right foot was essentially the only good leg. I was using my right foot to push myself around in the wheelchair. And my knee was okay once I could still use my knee.
Mhm.
But it was essentially it was so hard because I've never been in that kind of situation before where the very things I need were
Uh-huh.
basically compromised from this injury.
Mhm.
And it took a while to heal. I remember it took a long while.
I wonder if you healed faster than an average person would have been, because I would imagine your leg muscles are much stronger than most people, like an average person, because you're using it for so many other reasons than besides just walking.
Mm-hmm. Well, I know for a fact I would have probably if it wasn't me who that happened to, I don't know if anyone else would have avoided a break or something,
Right.
severe. But because my legs were so muscular,
Mhm.
they were strong enough to withstand something that serious. I
Sure.
mean, hitting the
A
windshield
bag
and all that.
deploying at
Yeah.
200 some miles per hour is no joke.
Yeah,
That's
exactly.
crazy. It has to deploy so fast because it needs to be there within not even a second, milliseconds during an
Going 65 miles per hour, man.
yeah, because it has to deploy and then be soft enough for you to hit your face on,
Yep.
or whatever part of the body is. Um, so when you have your plane in the hangar, I've seen some videos. When you get to the hangar and you're showing like the first challenge is opening this
Hmm.
sliding barn doors to the hangar with your feet. Um, what's your like day to day when you go in? You do like maintenance or anything like that on the plane? You get to the hangar. What's your process getting that there, getting the plane out, and doing your checklist before the takeoff?
You go through a pre-flight, and that's essentially this is not like you don't just hop in the plane and take off. You go through this whole procedure, which sometimes takes even longer than the amount of time you'll spend in the air. You're
Mhm.
going through, you're checking the oil, you're checking the fuel, you're checking that everything looks okay, nothing happened on the previous flight, no damage to the skin or rivets. You're checking the functionality of the controls, making sure that the inspection caps underneath the wings are all there because sometimes those can pop off. The tires, of course, you're just I mean, it's such a procedure, but you can't skip it. You have to go through it because, like I was saying before, you don't get a second chance once you're in the air. You're in the air,
Right.
so you better make sure everything is at least in your power at that point. Doing a pre-flight, everything looks good according to the checklist for the pre-flight.
When you get to the hangar, are you there by yourself? You doing all this by yourself, or you have someone to help you?
If I needed to, I could do it all by myself. So that was the point, is to get to that level that I could demonstrate to an examiner that I could do everything required of me in pre-flight. But for time's sake, I do involve people and ask them to help me out or, to help me screw the cowling back on after I've checked the oil. So I do make use of people around me to make it a little easier and faster.
Mhm.
And there's nothing wrong with that either, as long as I'm still focused on my list and doing everything step by step.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, safety is first, right? Like you
Hmm.
said, no second chances up in the air. Can you share any of your favorite moments in flight? Like any favorite flights you've done, scenic wise, or you had an
Oh, so
amazing,
many.
mesmerizing moments?
Yeah, that's what's so beautiful about flying, is that you get to have those experiences. Some days out here in Arizona are just stunning. Um, but one of the things that I always like to share is the day that I was flying by myself for the first time, your solo flight, and there was nothing more empowering than knowing that you did that by yourself.
Mhm.
Uh, I mean, I remember everything about it. I remember landing. I remember getting out of the airplane and just disbelief, but having a smile on my face that I finally did it. And I just couldn't stop smiling for the rest of the day. And that happens for everyone when they do it for the first time. There's just the realization that I really did it. No one else was in the plane with me. I did it by myself. It was all on me.
Is it?
And Tom's River, New Jersey is not that far from us in Syracuse, New York. So
Oh, yeah?
if you need to make a little pit stop on the way back to Arizona, then come see us.
Yeah, that's true. I know. That is not too far at all.
Yeah.
That's going to be down the road, though, because you have to do the first 40 hours in an experimental plane that's being built. So we have a process that we'll have to do those first 40 hours, and then before we take it anywhere.
Yep.
So once the 40 hours is complete, then you'll get the plane, or would you be part of the 40-hour flight?
I would probably rely on someone who does this a lot for airplane builds, because they're able to spot any mechanical challenges or anything like that.
Mm-hmm.
So I may delegate that to someone else so that they can ensure from their own experience, someone who has some experience with experimental planes.
Do you know the range that's going to be on the plane?
We can probably go about 4 hours. But it really you really go as far as your bladder can hold, essentially. That's what they say, you know?
There's I follow this one girl on YouTube, and she has a pilot, and she has a plane, and she got this job in California. And she was flying, I think, from Chicago to California, and she was documenting this whole journey of, like, she packed up her suitcase, and her dad gave her a ride to the airport. And she started flying her plane, so she would stop at some airports to refuel, use the bathroom. For private planes, there are different terminal, I guess. There's like a lounge place, like a building you can go in to use facilities. And it was interesting, that she would have a bottle that's designed for backup just in case she has to go
like mid-flight. Like a shiwi?
Something like that. She put it together herself. But I would imagine there's a lot of pilots that have those emergency kits.
Oh, yeah. Yeah, they have them in the catalogs, too.
Yeah.
There's a whole world in aviation. You get these
Sky Miles.
magazines.
It's in the catalog.
Yeah, there are all sorts of things. You should see that. You should really see what they have. They have some creative solutions.
But yeah, I would hope that we can continue to see some of your life experiences and changes online, and you've gained new followers here, and
thank you.
I love to see how far it's going to go. Do you think you're going to be able to fly that plane from New Jersey back home, or is it going to be delivered to you?
Oh, no. Well, probably our hope is to also fly it to the world's largest air show, which is in Wisconsin. And then getting it back home will be probably myself and another pilot, because at that point I would not have accomplished what's called transition training.
Mm-hmm.
Going from one plane to the other. It's not like hopping in any car.
Okay.
This is a totally different airplane, so flying it will be completely different. So I will not be PIC, pilot in command of that plane. No, coming back. Sure. I will probably have someone there else flying, but I'll be in back at least, or in the right seat, or the left seat, and then the pilot in the right seat will be flying it.
Mm-hmm. So you will fly to New Jersey to fly back in that plane.
That's probably how it'll go. Yeah, if all goes well.
We'll have to follow you and see when you're going to be at some of these air shows, because we travel. We love to go to air shows. My wife and my son, we both a couple years ago went to Oregon to see Blue Angels.
Oh yeah.
And there was also air show there as well. So we like to follow Blue Angels and see them as much as possible. It's amazing pilots.
They are. There's no doubt about it. That's cool.
Jessica, do you want to add something more to this?
No, I just want to say thank you for having me on your podcast. Thank you to both of you. It was nice to meet you both. And one of these days, come up in this plane when it's finished, and we'll have to stop in. I guess there's a little airport at Syracuse, right?
There is,
Tiny
yeah.
airport. Okay.
It's small, but it's international.
It's international.
Flight to Canada.
Oh, really? That's a
Yeah.
big airport then. Okay.
Well, that they call it a big, but I think we're actually home to the world's biggest snowplow also.
Yes.
Wow.
Yeah,
That's
it's-
something worth seeing. Okay.
Yeah,
It's at the airport. It's got 36-foot plow deck.
Neat.
Yeah.
Okay.
And we got direct flights from here to Florida.
Well, that's convenient. Okay.
Yeah. So decent
Yeah,
airport.
yeah.
Yeah.
Here's what you got.
Yeah. Okay. Well, I'll have
Absolutely.
to add it to the list. We're gonna have a plan of where we'll fly to. I
Mhm.
don't know if we'll fly there in the winter though. We may have
Sure.
to save that
No,
for the
don't.
summer.
Don't come here in the winter.
Absolutely.
Jessica, thank you
Okay.
so much for being on as well. It's an honor. It's a pleasure. I'm just so happy I came across your story and to be able to talk to you and learn this amazing journey you have and to share this. It's I just been talking about it for a while.
And such an inspiration for many reasons.
Absolutely.
Thank you. I'm sorry my audio just cut out, but thank you so much. It literally just cut out right now.
Can you hear us now?
I can hear you now. Yes.
Okay. Well, I just want to also say thank you to our episode sponsor, Big Oyster Brewing Company. I want to say thank you to all the followers and listeners, Hopped Up Network. Jessica, thank you so much. If you just stay on the line for a quick minute and then we'll end afterwards, okay? Hold on one second. Thank you, everybody.
Thank you.
Bye.